Are you? Okay. So we should start our lesson today? Fine. What we are going to discuss today, that is new international economic order. There the glimpse of new international economic order or NIEO we had seen in a previous topic when we were discussing. And before going to our this topic for today, just have a quick recapitulation. The topic had been discussed by us in this chapter so far. Certainly, children, we begin with the Cuban Missile Crisis, then the exact concept of the Cold War we had discussed. How did the two power blocks emerge? In detail, we discussed that. And then arenas of the Cold War. What were the arenas of the Cold War had been looked by us till greater extent, and then challenge to bipolarity. The way bipolar world, the way two existing superpowers had been challenged. We discussed that. Now, under this new international economic order, children, a very genuine question were there that, or some of us had been under the concept that these non-aligned countries are the weak countries. At the most, they can mediate somewhere, sometimes even. Otherwise, they are the one who prefer to be quite. No, non-aligned countries were more than merely mediators. And certainly, we are discussing the time of the Cold War era, during those time, during those reign, in fact, children. And now, the real challenge, the real challenge before the non-aligned countries. Apart from that, they were not only mediators, they were active participants. They participated actively during the Cold War era. And now the challenges they started facing, that most of the countries, majority of non-aligned countries were given the tag of, or had been categorized as, the least developed countries. Yes, children, LDCs. Okay, LDCs. In our day to day life in the offices, children, you must have heard this term LDC. LDC, they stand for different purpose, and their different expanded form we do have. LDC in the offices stand for lower divisional clerk. Here LDC in contemporary world politics under the Cold War era we are discussing, and this one is least developed countries. So they were categorized as, they had been given the tag of least developed countries first. And these countries, in fact, wanted, or the challenge they faced, or the challenge was before them was to be more developed economically, means to ensure their economic development. Because we know that in absence of economic development, other development would be very difficult to take place. Fine, children? So, the economic development. And the purpose was, or third in this sequence, we can say that their real purpose was to lift their people, to uplift their people, to take their people out of the vicious cycle of poverty. Okay, so these were the challenges they started facing. Apart from it, for them, economic development was very important, was very vital. Because for their independence, any countries who used to get independence, unless they ensure economic development, how can they plan? How can they go ahead? And how will they succeed in executing their planning? How will they succeed? Okay, it's not possible. That's why economic development was the key, was very vital for them. Now, development we had been talking. Now, the real need was of sustained economic development, children. Yes, this sustained development or sustained economic development, it is not that one day or 2 day or for 1 quarter or 2 quarter, 1 year or 2 year we are ensuring our development and thereafter we are coming back to the basics. We are going to start from the scratches once again. No, that won't be the real concept of sustained development or economic development, and a country could not be truly free without sustained economic development. Means for a true freedom, the status of or achievement of sustained economic development was necessary. Okay, otherwise these countries would remain independent on the richer countries, because see, only political development was not sufficient for them. That is an important aspect, but only with the political development any countries can't ensure in their well-being overall. So it would continue to remain dependent on the developed countries, on the richer countries, on the resourceful nation, including their colonial powers, and certainly from their colonial powers, these several nations, several countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, they had come out, they had succeeded in getting their independence. Fine, children? Good. Now, then we got this concept when we realized the need of real economic development or sustained economic development. With this realization, the idea of new international economic order originated. It came into existence. Fine. And then in the year 1972, there was one conference of United Nations, that is known as the UN, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Okay, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, what we also say it, or what is known as, popularly known as UNCTAD. It brought out a report in the year 1972 whose title was Towards a New Trade Policy for Development. Fine, children? So, what was this policy titled? Towards a New Trade Policy for Development. Year 1972, under the banner of UN, and that was the UN Conference on Trade and Development. Okay, this report in fact proposed a reform of the global trading system. And why had this been proposed? So that they could succeed in fulfilling their 4 most important purposes. Number 1, they wanted the least developed countries, or least developed countries, in fact, they wanted the real control over their natural resources. It is really highly contradictory. Students, can you imagine that the countries, or a report had been published that some country or some nation, they want real control over their natural resources, as if they want control or they want to get control over the natural resources of some other country. It has been the birthright of every nation, every individual, that whatsoever resources I do have, I must have a real control. But their natural resources were being exploited by, or had been exploited by, the developed Western countries of the world, children. That's why the first point, they wanted, the least developed countries wanted real control over their natural resources, and their natural resources had been exploited by developed Western countries so far. Clear? Now come to number 2. They wanted to obtain access to Western markets so that trade must be beneficial for them as well. And it was highly necessary for them. It was really very important for them to get the access of the Western markets so that these LDCs, these least developed countries, they could also send their product, they could also export their product, they could sell their products in the Western market. The way they have been doing, we wanted a right vice versa, that our product must reach their market, must reach the Western market as well. As a result, somewhere they would succeed in balancing the trade, and trade till some extent would be beneficial for them. Okay, trade would be beneficial for them as well. The trade must not be one way. In fact, children, trade always needed to be two way. Balance of trade is the key. Fine. Number 3, they wanted the cost of the technology to be reduced. So reduce the cost of technology from the Western countries. They knew that in terms of technology or technological advancement, we have to learn so many things from the Western countries, and we want to use their technological advanced weapons or their technology. For that, they wanted that the price must be reduced. There must be a genuine price. The price must not be too much so that they are not able to utilize it. Fine, children? That's why they wanted it, that it must be a genuine price. Okay, it must not be price to that level what they were not able to afford. Okay, and the number 4, provide the LDCs with a greater role in international economic institution. They told we are also capable, we are quite capable to play a very important role in international economic institution. Why would they not give us the opportunity? Why would they not provide us the opportunity? That's why they wanted that LDCs must be provided with a greater role in international economic institutions. These were their 4 most important demands. First one, just have a quick recapitulation as this is the most important provisions of the NIEO and frequently asked question, be that in your school based examination or even your board examinations. Okay, that they wanted the real control over their natural resources. Who wanted? LDCs. Number 2, they wanted to obtain access to Western market. Number 3, they wanted the cost of technology must be reduced. And number 4, they wanted LDCs must be provided with a greater role in international economic institutions. Fine, children? Hope now this concept of NIEO is clear to you. Okay, and then we will just see that how did the nature of NAM, nature of non-aligned movement started changing. That is the transformation in the nature of NAM. In the beginning, the greater importance had been given to all other issues, and basically that the newly developed country, newly emerged independent nation must get a real chance to come on their own, and they must be capable, they must be entitled to take any decision on their own without coming under pressure of these 2 existing superpower of the world. So initially they wanted to give them a choice, a real option in fact. So in 1961 and even in first summit in Belgrade, economic issues were not very important. But now economic issues had been given greater importance. Again in 1970s, now economic issues started being important for them. And as a result, what did we find? That it became an economic pressure group. Yes, NAM became an international economic pressure group. It means they started exerting pressure. Pressure group, their role we have discussed earlier, you know it, the real concept of the pressure group and the movement group. Pressure group is someone that acts as a group that exerts pressure on the lawmaking organization, on the lawmaking bodies, that the steps that you are going to take must fulfill or it must benefit the people of every section of our society. Okay, so it started and it became in fact an economic pressure group. And then by the late 1980s, this NIEO, the initiative taken by new international economic order, started fading. Okay, their impact started mitigating. And what had been their region responsible or the factor responsible? Because of the stiff opposition from the developed countries. Developed countries, they never liked it, so they were or they started opposing it frequently. Okay, they started opposing it on regular interval. As a result, their initiative started fading away, and these stiff opposition from developed countries who acted as a united group while non-aligned countries struggled to maintain their unity in the face of this opposition, they were facing very difficulty in maintaining their unity. Fine, but on the other hand, these developed countries, they were also adamant that at any cost I won't allow them to succeed. Okay, but till greater extent they succeeded, and what had been their end result, what had been their outcome, that also we would be discussing. Okay, so till here, till this note today. Fine, hope you enjoyed the lesson. Take care, have a good day. And the question what had been given to you as a test, every questions are being taken from the text, and you know every line of NCERT text is very important, children. You never know that the board will give or will frame question from which particular line. That's why I am telling you repeatedly, go through each and every line. Make while you are going through the text, keep jotting down the point, the keywords, that will help you a lot. Fine, have a good day, take care.